All right, hello and welcome, people. We will be starting our live stream here in just a momento. Here. Let's see. Hello, hello, testing. Good, excellent. Hello, hello, testing. 1275. Testing 12753. Why does it seem frozen here? Hello. Okay, all right, here we go. All right, we're live, we're good, we're moving. Got a moving camera situation here. All right. So we're gonna be working on this painting today and maybe another one. We're gonna be working on 2 different paintings, and I'll probably go through some various thoughts around the process and stuff. But first, as I begin painting, I need to, I have this concoction of like vinegar, and I have citrus peels in here, or orange peels, and I usually use this. I need to spray around my area, because with oil paints, it's not the most pet safe method. So I need to spray some repellent in the area, so something to be cognizant of. I usually spray this around the area, and it keeps them away. It doesn't last forever, but it'll keep them away for the duration of my painting for the most part. Usually they like to sit up on the table next to me, and even if I like set something up for them to lay near me, they like to be on this like weird edge of the table and like cross the paint. So if you have cats that you want to consider, or dogs even, just consider a repellent, something to keep them from getting all up in your area. And of course, vinegar and citrus peels, they're usually good for the environment, as in they're good cleaning solutions. And although your house might smell like a salad bar for a little bit, it's all gravy. It'll clean the surface, which is great. So what am I starting with right now? What's up? Ioife. Aoife. Aoife. Hope I'm saying that right. So what I'm starting with right here is a Masterson sealable palette. So this is a palette here, as you can see. Let's raise this up right here. This is a palette that we have, and it's sealable. So for acrylic, I don't know if this matters for acrylic, but using oil, it's great to have a sealable palette, because it'll give your long-lasting oils just an extra couple days or so of usability. And with that, in here, I do have, so this is actually made of a plastic. Now in here, I do have a separate glass palette that is typical. This is a New Wave POSH glass palette with a gray background. And oil paint, you pretty much need a glass palette, because you need to be able to scrape it off, unless you want to just buy tons and tons of acrylic palettes. But the acrylic palettes will, they will break if you try to scrape paint off. You're going to have to dispose of them. So that's the difference between a glass palette and acrylic palette. But glass palettes come in handy. I stick it right inside, and I close this every single day after every paint session. And that's it. Other than that, we've got this massive this is an 18 by 24 canvas that I'm painting on, and it's and it's on an easel right now. So my easel supports up to 34 inches tall. And here we go. Let's keep going with this painting here. We're gonna go. You know what? We're gonna use this. We're gonna start with this brush here. We're gonna build in some new color areas. Actually, you know what? There's a couple areas I want to lay down, like thicker chunks of color, thicker rows of color. So let's do that first. The paint should be a little dry. Oil paint takes a long time to dry, but as long as you know it's gotten like a night, and if you use really thick oil paint, really thin oil paint, use lots of mineral spirits and stuff, you can pretty much reduce the amount of drying time. So it's not totally dry, but it's enough to work on at this point, I believe. We'll see. So anyway, let's go here. And actually, I think I need to bring this arm down. It's a little bit awkward coming off the camera here. So I need to bring this arm down. We're gonna reshape this arm a little bit. So let's go like this. We're gonna reshape the arm a little bit. We're gonna bring it down to like here. Let's just reshape the arm a little bit. We're doing some reshaping. I think the hand should pretty much go like right around here. That's my guess. I can't actually see it in the actual photo, but I'm trying to figure out like where the arm should go. So this is a little bit made up as far as where the arm position is going, but you know, let's go ahead and just like set some value here where the arm should be, or where I think the arm would be. I have to imagine it. I have to make it up. I think it'll be right around here. You know, we're around like the same area as her other arm. And let's go ahead and fill in this area right here, which is supposed to be like a green. I want like a lime green in there. Something to match the baby. And one great thing about oil paints, a lot of people are intimidated by the drying time. And if you work like really quick and abstractly, what's up, Michael Wilbur? 4x4 scrape lumper for your palette. Plates from garage sales. Dude, that's awesome too. Plates. You sound like Francis Bacon. Francis Bacon used to use plates. Honestly, I might try that one day. But here we go. We're gonna go bring this color in. So this paint is still pretty wet and sticky. Usually, you know, if I work, I'd probably work like 2 days apart, ideally. But I just need to paint today. I don't feel like waiting another day. So it might affect my painting. Like usually, typically artists would wait like months to finish a painting because, you know, they have to wait. And now there's a lot of things that make the drying time faster. But, you know, I try to work a little bit faster with paintings. A little bit faster. You can pretty much do so depending on, you know, certain factors. So I'm adding in this green here. And the way I could tell if it's like too dry or how long it'll take is that right now it's like it's a little bit sticky. I can feel that there's a stickiness as a result of the under layer here. So my goal right now is to work with this sticky layer. I'm not going to be too rough with it when I'm usually pretty rough, and you know, I'll like brush really roughly, but for this one, just want to lay down some color layers here to get a better definition of what's going on color-wise.
I knew it.
Let's just lay it on like that. All right, there we go. So I can't be as like free with my brush right now because of the stickiness, and I really have to make sure that I get the deep, you know, get the paint down a certain way. As far as this painting goes, Michael Wilbur, place the arm behind her back, therefore I won't have to paint it in. Yeah, that's a possibility too. That is very much a possibility. But you know what? That would mean I have to cover up this whole arm job, the entire arm job. And I don't know if I want to do that. So right now, getting this color in here, in this green matching little top outfit is the goal. And here we go. Bring it into here, come around. Sometimes, depending on how thick I laid the paint on the previous day, it could be just dry enough. That's not the case this time, but sometimes it, you know, can get as dry, can get dry enough for me overnight. But not the case today, but still, we're gonna keep working. We're just gonna work because I have to paint today. I just cannot not paint today. You know, and here's the thing. Here's where here's the interesting thing. So, like, you know, I often get asked, "Oh, well, like, you know, these paintings for sale. How are you doing this?" And this painting is not going to necessarily be for sale because I used a friend's photo for my reference, and you know, I can't be selling people prints of, you know, her and her kid, unless we I'm sure she would, if she really wanted to, you know, if I chatted with her about it, she would probably let me do it. But the whole point that I'm trying to make right now is that is not the ultimate goal of this painting. I just wanted to make this painting as practice. And you know what? You can't really practice unless you use references. And then sometimes there's just things that you decide that you want to paint. Not every painting that you do has to be for profit. Although, you know, it'd be nice if everything you painted was just in total high demand. But that is not the case here. And what am I using? So just using some paint, filling in some color so that we can start to tie this all together. That's the main goal right now. And now that I have this, let me see. And then here we go. And honestly, if I really wanted to, I could probably go really thick with this paint, like just I could probably play very impressionisty with this brush and actually, you know, get some of this, get this painting done and like worked with. But I want to start with like a more subtle. I'll start more subtly first. Did he admit to it or Smurf told him?
Nobody ever admits anything out loud because it's kids about it.
But what was the confrontation? Baz went up to him and said,
No. Baz went to the prison and talked to Smurf.
Right.
Smurf said,
did she give it away?
All these loves happen. He's never gotten rid of the battle. To capture so if you're looking for answers, listen to
All right. So I like where the colors are at right now. Let me try to, I want to try to find this arm piece. Let me, actually, you know what? Let me push around some of the color around the arm here. I think this arm needs to be a little bit less extreme in this area. So we're going to push this arm down a little bit. And push this arm down. I'm going to have a hard time working this arm because this arm looks really funky. It's a really unusual arm. But I think if I can probably modify it enough that, you know, it looks right. So I'll probably rework this arm a couple times. We'll see. But got the purple. Let's try to find this necklace here. I'm gonna do with a deep purple around the neck here to start our necklaces off. Actually, you know what? Should I work on a face first? What should I do? You know what? Let me actually bring this purple in. We're gonna add some yellow into this, yellow ochre. I'm gonna find some of these shades around the leg here.
Yeah, we have the same one.
You have the same what? Oh, yes. I am live streaming, by the way. I can't see the TV, but you know that's fine. So here we go. Gonna build this color down. You know, of course. You know, of course, gifted to them. Why am I stressed out? I'm not stressed out. Did I say I was stressed out? Maybe did I say I was stressed out? I don't know. I say things sometimes, you know, and like, you know, ideas are fleeting. Thoughts are fleeting. That's part of the performance element of these live streams. By the way, maybe I said I was stressed out. I don't think I did. Or maybe I gave off the vibe. But that's part of my live stream, is this like stream of consciousness idea. And you know, if there was any message that I wanted to share, it would be that you know, thoughts, ideas, things are fleeting. You know, there's a fleeting nature to your thoughts, your emotions. You know, like limitations, personal limitations, and things like that. It's fleeting. It's all fleeting. And you know, part of this live stream is to part of the performance element of these live streams. I know if you're on Amazon right now and you're watching, a little introduction here. If you're on Amazon watching, I live stream on other platforms. I don't want to share exactly which ones, but I do live stream other platforms, and my format is pretty much a stream of consciousness. It's not like a typical, hey, you know, watch me, these are the products, watch me buy this. It's a stream of consciousness, like performance / painting demos, etc. And the format is pretty much a stream of consciousness, and I basically talk for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours as a part of the art, the creative experience. Because, you know, I feel like there's not enough artists that really do a good job of sharing their creative process. Very few do. In fact, you know, the main artist that everyone knows is that I can name is like Vincent van Gogh. He's probably one of the only artists who has written as much that reveals so much about his art in his letters than more than any other artist, maybe, I would say. And I really appreciate that about Vincent van Gogh. If you ever read his letters, you can get a lot of insight into creative, you know, the creative mind. And I think, you know, the other part of that is, like, historically, you know, art has been gate-kept, right? Not just like creativity, but like, you know, Picasso didn't like people in his studio. Only now do we have people like Damien Hirst, Damien Hirst, probably one of the few that like actually shows what it's like working in his art studio. Probably one of the top ones, right? Like you never had that. Not only because there wasn't any video, but because people wanted to keep their trade secrets, and I get it. When you got trade secrets, Pablo Picasso didn't want to reveal to the world his methods when he first started, because like Pablo Picasso was working at a time when the camera just got invented, and every artist in the world was questioning. Every painter in the world was questioning whether they were going to, lose their livelihoods because of the camera. So I totally get if Pablo Picasso was gatekeeping his techniques. That said, I think that we live in a time right now when more artists should definitely consider sharing their creative process. And so anyway, if you're on Amazon, that's the whole shtick here. That's my gimmick. That's my that's what I do. Just so you can be, just so you could be informed here about how this channel works. I do have, the products available, right? I do share all the products there, but this isn't a typical like Amazon seller stream in that sense. So something I need to do is I need to curve her head more. I need to curve her cheek in more because she's like. So I'm trying to find cheek there. Why don't I keep this like wispy? And these are just the first couple layers. There's some artists, the way they work is that everything is drawn out perfectly, and they'll lay down the color the exact color they need that they see. But my goal usually is to do less of that. I paint very openly, and by openly I mean like an open canvas or open palette, meaning that my palette is open. The colors that I use, like throughout my whole painting process, I'm pretty much, in the process of discovering the colors myself. I see a color, but I don't necessarily, I don't necessarily use that exact color. I don't usually, it's more spontaneous. I like to feel like my art is a bit more spontaneous than the typical portrait painter. But sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad. Sometimes you create some really unique and interesting color paintings, and then sometimes they're not always that good. But I do believe that my art has an element of spontaneity that a lot of artists don't, solely because of this fact of discovering these colors as we go and then bringing them together as we go. So but hey, are we really comparing art techniques? Are we really trying to do that right now? I kind of am, but not really. Just explaining my process here as we go. Sometimes it's good to share what the right way of doing things is versus, if you ever go to an art teacher, if you ever go to like an art class or something, and then you start painting like this, like the way I'm painting, and you're just got this palette with every color of the rainbow, red, purple, green, white, black, brown. If you open up a palette like that, a classical, traditionally trained art teacher is going to look at you and be like, "You are ridiculous. You are a mad painter. Who taught you how to do this?" And I just, I would like for people to not say, "Oh, I learned it from this like YouTube," right? Because this isn't the, I don't do like teaching videos, and this isn't the traditional way. Connie, what's up? How you doing, Connie? Welcome. But the traditional way is to get this all perfectly sketched out, and as you can see, I'm constantly like working and reworking details, right? Like I'm adjusting the details on her face. I'm, changing different areas. I'm using lots of colors and blending them and doing all sorts of stuff. And it's a little bit more free form. Sometimes it could be messier. Sometimes it could create, this colorful, this wonderful colorful effect. And if you just follow the regular way of doing things, I feel like there's not enough variety. Honestly, I feel like if I just had like the same process that I went with every time, I would probably get bored of painting pretty quick, because it's like, oh, okay, so now I just need to create a tracing of it, and now I need to paint in the lines, and now I'm done. That's how I feel about the traditional way of painting. And I guess some would argue that, because I feel like if I was to just do that, right? If I was just to design this out, sketch it out perfectly, have all the colors exactly ready, have everything perfect, and know exactly what I'm going to paint, how I'm going to paint, I just feel like I don't need to do it myself. I feel like someone else, I could just do the design. I could just have someone else paint it for me. If I already have the colors, just let somebody else do the work, right? That's how it would feel. And maybe that's how I work later on. I get a few assistants or whatever. But for now, as I build up my skills, this is how I like to do it. And I was talking to one of my live streamers, people on my live stream yesterday. I was like, hey, if I stream for 10,000 hours, if I paint for 10,000 hours on a live stream, can I finally be called a master? It's one person. So one person made the judgment call. One random guest said yes. So therefore, I have set a lifetime goal of streaming for 10,000 hours of painting. Yeah, there's a worthwhile goal. There's a worthwhile goal, right? Stream for 10,000 hours so that I can call myself a master. Does that qualify? But here's the funny thing, though. The critic in me will go, well, hey, are you streaming for 10,000 hours practicing the right techniques, or are you just painting? Does it matter as far as art goes? I don't know. But anyway, that's a funny idea. It's just a fun idea I started playing with yesterday. But let's go ahead and see how we can, add more. This hairline comes forward a little bit too much. I think this eye line should come around. I want to add more highlight into the face of this little baby. Cute little baby. I like saying baby like that. Alright, so here we go. She's got a lot of highlights on the side of her face right here, so we're just going to add those highlights in. And unfortunately, unfortunately, this paint is still a little bit wet, and I don't know if I should just keep working it. Because I'm not using thick enough paint that it would... The paint that I'm using isn't thick enough to I'm using isn't thick enough yet to just like, this would be good if I just like laid down the work like nice and expressively. And here we go. We'll bring this down, and then bam. Just adding some highlights along the face. And we'll build on top of this continuously. I don't know how long this painting will take. But good thing I have a few paintings in rotation.
You're there.
I have a few paintings in rotation right now, so fortunately. And we're gonna add some rouge. Let's add some rouge into this baby. A little bit of red. Need some little red cheeks here. Let's add some little red cheeks. That's kind of cute. There you go. Little cute red cheeks in the baby. Need red cheeks. See, so after a certain point, you know, usually I create this like really loose initial painting, which almost is like a semi-realism, for lack of a better term. And then eventually I start to like just play around with everything and turn it into something totally, not totally different, but somewhat different. So let's go around like this. We're gonna get the ear here. Baby's got a cute little ear. Comes up. Got big ears. Little baby got big ears. There we go. I think on babies' faces, what you'll notice is that certain, like, the proportions are so funny. I used to draw pretty much every human head like a baby's head. I used to draw like every human's head like a baby's head. Because I didn't know the proportions. I would literally just start with a circle and then start, like, you know, measuring things out. But what you'll find is that the human head actually has a little extra length. If I was to draw a sphere here, you got to bring down the chin a little bit further. So just some thoughts there. When you start to really dive into like painting and you know, you draw enough heads, you can start to see your own mistakes. When people reach out on YouTube and they're like, hey, can you look at this drawing for me? I'll look at it. Can you look at this drawing and tell me what's wrong? But I don't usually like to answer the question. The way I answer the question is usually, you know what, I'm totally happy to do it, but you know, I'll look at it if you show me like 20 drawings of a head. Because if you do take the opportunity and you want to learn to draw something, say a head or a hand, if you draw 20 more hands or 20 more heads, at some point you're going to be like, okay, you know, I can figure out what's wrong. Not always, but usually, right? You put in the work, you're going to find your own answers. That's the beauty of painting. Now, of course, a good mentor will, you know, help you save time there. It'll really definitely help you save time, but you know, there is an element of the beauty of like discovering your own quirks. One of mine being that I used to draw this part of the lip too far from the nose. I forget what the fulcrum, I think, is the name of that part. The fulcrum. I used to draw a little too far away, and now I know not to do that. It's a cute little baby. I know the arm, both the left arms look kind of weird, so I gotta soften this elbow a little bit. I know what I have to do though. I can see it. I just have to round it out a little better. But let's see, how do we go into here? We're gonna go into here, and we're gonna find. Let's go start with our darkest shade here. We're gonna grab our purple. I'm using purple a lot, quite a lot. So let's grab purple. Mix it in our center right here. Grab a little bit of our brown. And here we go. So we're going to build this up. And eventually we'll find ways to like blend things in a little better, round things out, make it less flat. Still getting down the major colors here. No, I might even, let's go, you know what, let's just go ahead and spread this out a little better. Maybe I'm being a little bit too brushy right now, where what I really need to be doing is spreading paint. Spreading paint like it means something, you know? Spreading paint like it's my job. Yeah, there we go, see? So I'm using purple as the base. I like the idea of having this purple. I think purple's a great like shade. That contrasts with this like golden headband or scarf. I think she's wearing a scarf. I don't know if it's like a special type of scarf, but so there we go. Just laying it down. And I'm even gonna redo these arms a little bit, but I'm gonna get some of the foundation here on the other parts of the body. And interestingly enough, this other side is a little bit of a different shade because it's in, or a different tone because it is in the light. Which I'm trying to contemplate. I'm trying to debate whether I should, you know, reflect that or just leave it. Reflect the fact that, you know, in this lighting that there are two different, you know, the variety of flesh colors, or whether I should, you know, try to keep it the same. So, you know, creatively speaking, I'm trying to decide whether I want to modify or whether I want to keep and show. So, not sure yet. I haven't fully committed to either. And here's something else I got to do. I got to go into here. I'm going to go into the shadow underneath the neck. And get that in a little bit of oil. I want to go into shadow underneath the neck and just make this look better. And I know that this area is going to be in shadow as well, so we're going to come around and here we go. So we're going to come around this head here. Maybe give it a bit more of an angle going down. And there we go. Okay, so we've got a nice deep shadow under her neck. And I think this has really helped to shape her face well. And now I got to find something that wasn't working before was, you know, I put these certain values on her cheekbones. Finding the right values on her cheekbones and her cheeks was a little bit of a challenge. So I'm trying to find just the right combination of value along the cheekbone here. Is that? We'll see. We'll work this out again and again until we get it. And let's actually add some width to this part here. And then we're gonna fix the lips right there. Try to find just the right combination here. Right combination of whatever here. Let's go. I think that's looking better. Something in this area just needs some more work. So let me see. I think the shadows look good, but I just need to make this face a bit more tightened up. So we're gonna go right under the nose here. Let's try to find the shadow that's under the nose. Oof, this brush is a little too big for what I need to do. So I'm actually gonna bring this down. I'm gonna use these shadows underneath to define this area. And I'm going to paint over this at some point. I just know I am. But for now, I just want to let's see. How do we bring this around? Okay. Still going to take some time here. So this arm is going to be reduced a little bit eventually, but for now, let's go like that. Actually, I do like how the colors are coming out. All these purples. But I want to use a smaller brush now. Actually, before I do that, let me go into the arm here. I think this head looks massive, but if I try to analyze the actual painting and compare the head size, it's actually pretty accurate. Babies have massive heads. Now that I'm seeing this, you know, they just got huge heads. Babies have huge heads, and I'm learning this. Their heads are like, you know, you gotta think the human brain like develops so quick. Hence why babies have such big heads. So anyway, let's go like this. Boom. Paint this down, bring this around. Just get some of the color foundations here. Go down with the elbow, make sure that come down here. And we're gonna come around like boom. All right. We've got our feet here. Let's see. Some of this is gonna come out. Let's go bring out some highlight around the top of the leg here. And I still think that I need to maybe bring this up a little further. What colors can we use? Now we're going to clean off this brush. Clean off this brush. So this is a pretty rough, like a, you know, pretty thick brush. rough brush. I think it's hog hair maybe, or some sort of synthetic type of hog hair, or rougher hair. I need something a little bit more, either thinner or more delicate. I'm gonna pull the paint boogers off right now. And luckily I only have a couple paint boogers. Usually I have a lot by this point. But right now I only have a couple, so very good. So I'm gonna go back to our original brush. This is really one of my favorite brushes. I need to get like 10 of these. At least for the size. Like, this is like the perfect size. If I could find a painting that, I think this is like the perfect size brush for so many details. Well, you know what? I mean, for anything under like 24 inches or 36 inches, this is actually a good detail brush. You can see it's pretty thick. You know, it's maybe like almost, with all the hairs spread it out, it probably is almost like a centimeter. And you would say that that's a horrible brush for detail because, like, you know, these little pieces are unpredictable. But I just love how this picks up paint and puts it down. I just love how this brush picks up the paint and puts it down. And it holds a good amount of paint, and it lasts a very long time because this is synthetic. So this is a Princeton, I believe, Princeton brand brush, Princeton Aspen. The letters have since come off. But I need to get me a couple more. If only they sold them individually. I don't think they sell these individually, only as like a pack. So that said, let's go find some of these details in the face here. Some of these details are still missing, and they're going to be pretty crucial. So facial details are pretty crucial. I'm finding a good shade that's not too dark. I want to try to, you know, I don't want total ivory black. I just want, like, you know, I don't want total ivory black. I just want some ways to capture the shadows in her as she's, like, you know, looking at her child here. So, but, you know, if you use like a crisp color, you can really start to, you know, nice crisp new color, you can really start to see total difference there. And then you could go there we go. That's actually in the right direction there. I like this direction here that we got, and add a little bit of highlight around the eye right there. I don't know if that works, but what I just did, I don't know if that works. Oh, you know what? Excuse me. I think the mineral spirit smells are starting to get to me. I have like a, you know, mineral spirits. I use a lot of mineral spirits, and when you start to use lots of mineral spirits, you can definitely sometimes, you know, start to notice the effects. So just adding some subtle line work on the eyes here, and now we're going to do the other side. This is pretty important, getting these eyes right, because I was looking last night, and, you know, if I get these eyes wrong, here's what the issue is going to be. If I get these eyes wrong, I need them to look like they're actually looking at her. And the way that this face is shaped, I might even, you know, have to do some more adjustments, but let's go like this. This actually needs to be even at more of an angle, maybe even at more of an angle. And then this one right here, we're going to come around, and this area also has to be at quite an angle here. So we're going to come around. Like, the important thing is that she looks like the direction of her eye is going toward that of the baby's. That's the important thing. If I can get that, then we're okay. If I can get that, we're okay. We're good. And I think we are actually in that direction. And here's the cool thing about painting, is, like, you know, what you'll find is it's not always about drawing everything perfectly. If you could find like the exact right place to put darker colors, like as you can see, I'm using just a really dark shade of, I don't even know what color this is. I picked up a little bit of ivory black with some burnt umber, so it's a very dark burnt umber, and I dipped it into like my purple that I had earlier because I don't really want too dark of a color to like overtake the other areas. And you know, you can see that just this little detail of this this area under the eye can add so much story to what's happening. You know, you could definitely get the story going really nice and easy, just by adding certain details and doing that contrast between light, that play between light and shadow. That's the one cool thing about painting is, you know, when you do that and you're able to just like find the combinations and stuff, and you just do that, and it's pretty cool how it starts to come together. You know, you're just trusting the process. But of course, what is that process? I don't always have a specific process. All right, so let's go up here. We'll add some more of this as well. We're gonna, you know, show a little bit of her hair here. And this is a bit too much of a shadow right there, but let's go come around. Does it look like she's kind of looking at her? We'll have to keep playing with this. I may have to play with this a couple of times. No, I may have to even bring this eye down just a little bit. But actually, you know what? Let's go into the nose. And we're going to go bring in the nose here. We're going to start to paint these shadows around the nose. And we'll make some modifications to that, but you know, constantly just looking to paint light on dark. I just got to make sure that this eye looks like it's looking at her. And how do we do that? We can turn her head down just a little bit. If I bring this down just a little bit further, I might have to just modify where her eye is. We bring this around like so. There we go. That actually looks like it. Bring that out down just a little bit more. And now let's add some highlights around the eye and just, you know, I'm going to gauge where we're at. I'm going to use some highlights to gauge where we're at here. Again, if you want to know the right way to do this and not have to constantly like adjust colors, the right way would be to have sketched this out perfectly ahead of time. You know, you basically, the typical method is to take like a pencil or use like a projector, and basically what you're doing is you know, projecting that what you want onto this canvas exactly as you want it. And here we go, adding some highlights around the eye. Let's go. but I usually sketch pretty raw. What does that even mean? Sketch raw. I sketch pretty loosely, without too much planning. So therefore, I usually work and rework the areas a lot just to get it right. And you know, for the perfectionists, I don't think perfectionists would tolerate how I do it. Well, let me see if I can find the ear here. I can definitely tell that her ear is actually tucked in here, so this will be helpful, knowing that her ear is actually tucked in, like right there. Adding like a little highlight area where her ear could be. I probably should just make that darker. It doesn't need to be that bright. So we're just gonna add this. Got that purple there. And here we go. So just continuing to build up these colors. Let's see. Where are we gonna go from here? We're gonna lighten up some of the colors around here. So we're just gonna build this down. I need to reduce this one really dark line that separates the arm from the chest area. There's too much there. But sometimes that could be done with just the easy transition. Sometimes it's a little harder. Let me see. I need, what's a good color here? I'm going to go into here. We're going to add some drama. Let's add some drama into this painting now. Add some drama by painting in some shadows where the foot is. So the foot comes in right here and pretty much comes around the baby's arm, over the finger here, and then, you know, it's in, there's no light, there's not as much light getting to it because it's hit behind the baby. Then we're gonna come around in here. You know, it is funny when I start to look at an image long enough that I'm using for reference. It's like I start to see new colors the longer I look at it. If I look at it for hours and hours, I start to see like different colors. It's really like bizarre. If you look at something long enough, you will start to see all the variety of colors in it. But the shadow's a little too much. Yeah, I like where this is at. This is good where it's at. Let me bring down some purple. I'm really liking how this purple is gonna appear. So let's bring down. We're gonna bring this into a purple zone. We make this zone like a purple. Come down like right here. Let's work some red into here, actually. Let's try to work some red and pink. Try to find some red. And here we go, this blending, this will be improved right here. And let's bring some highlights in under the eyes. So I can actually use the blue for these highlights. Let's see. I want to get some highlights under the eyes going on right here. So we're going to actually be able to carve away. And let's see how we can also apply some more of these highlights while we still have them. Some more highlights as we have them. We could go like right into here. So this will pretty much go flat across, like right here. Bam. And then a little around the side of the eyes here, so like bam. Natural highlight around the side there. And then let's add the highlight around the top of the lip here. Bam. let's see. We're gonna come around like boom. And then we do this. This face is gonna come down like right here. Some highlight around the cheek here, on the side of the face, around the angle of the face here. We're gonna go up with this. How's that looking? It's actually kind of cool. Not too bad. Not too bad. Not too bad. Now, if only I could get this area around my chin. I look back at the camera a lot because I want to see what the camera's seeing. Honestly, actually, probably let's see if we can bring in some of this color into here. How do we do this? Let's see. I don't want to get into a zone of trouble. And by zone of trouble, I mean, you know, a point when I start to overwork everything. See how we can work the arm. We're gonna blend down the arm quite a bit. Actually, we're gonna take a break here in a few minutes, so I can rest and come back. I need lots of breaks when I paint if I wanna paint well. What can happen is that, you know, I start to paint almost mindlessly. And I start to, like, you know, do certain details that don't make sense. So, you know, part of me does need to keep that in mind, know my own behavior. I would love to say that, you know, I could paint for 8 hours a day, 9 hours a day, but that's just not realistic for me. I mean, maybe, you know what, if I started from morning and I woke up and painted, and then, like, you know, I probably could go for like 8 hours in a day. You know, if I do like 2 hours early and then like 4 hours in the afternoon and then even more later on, I could probably do it for 8 hours a day. But does this arm feel more natural now? Yes, it does. Okay. So we're going to add some highlight colors. Let's find this beautiful little bit of blue here. And we're going to go, probably should be like more pink. A little bit of baby fat here. And then go up into the body. One, two. Got the right amount of toes. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the fifth one is just kind of like there. This the fifth one's kind of like right there. Yeah, okay. Baby's got 5 toes. All right. And let's go. I'm gonna bring some of these toes, give it some color as they come down, some color and shape as they round their way around the knuckle. I guess. What would you even call this? What do you call the knuckle of feet? Baby's feet have knuckles, right? There we go. This is a color that I shouldn't have ever laid down here. It's a little too much. Too much of a highlight. Let me see. Let me bring in some flesh colors. This rose, excuse me. These rose colors typically come in really handy. These rose colors, it's like a blush rose. Comes in really handy. This is Gamblin 1980. Gamblin 1980 brand. Series 2. So, you know, pretty standard brand. Nothing, pretty standard, good. Good. I would say, like, as far as you know, the prestige of brands go, I mean, Gamblin's makes amazing products. That, and the great thing about Gamblin products is they're very accessible. You get them on Amazon, right? So you get them all over. You don't have to like travel the world to find great paint. You find it in your local store. So here we go. We're gonna go add some more pink blush here. This cute pink color. This little blushy color. And I'm already noticing a lot of details, like the details in the mom look so different than the details in the baby. The baby seems so roughly painted. So I am aware of that. And I think the main reason is because for whatever reason, the paint that was on the baby was a lot more sticky when I was trying to work with it. And therefore, it created some issues trying to paint, and now that is causing, you know, some of this discrepancy. But anyway, we'll make it work. We will find ways to make it work. There's always a way. Even if you have to wait till it dries totally and then rework it, that's cool too. You know, whatever needs to happen in order for you to get the right job. Okay, so go like this. You can actually curve this a little bit. Before we do, let's get some highlights onto baby hands. Bring in this blush. I'm going to blush with the white. I'm going to go across here. around like this. And then we're going to have another. Here we go. It's going to come around like this. And then like that. And then get something like this. And something like that. And then we're going to build on top of this later. But let's go ahead and fix up the coloration around her body. Let's start to find some of these golds. I'm gonna take some of this gold here. And let's go. We want some of our darker shades of gold. A little bit darker. Excuse me. There's a lot of space. Just gonna go over here for the shadow.
Is it nice? You say it's in the kitchen. I just think about it.
Make it look like a natural fold here. And let's see, we're going to go into this black area of this hat, or the scarf, I should say. It's not a hat, it's a scarf. And find some shadows to create like a natural, capture some of the natural folds in it. And then this area probably needs some of that as well. So you can see the underlying color was black, or like a really dark umber, I believe, for this scarf, and that was definitely a little too much. But for me, it helps me to like establish and connect with areas that are gonna be like of the darkest value as far as the creases go. And I know I can always paint over it. That's why, you know, get it done the first time is the ideal. But for me, I really just like to, at the start of a painting, let my brain loose and not think too much, not overthink some of the details that need to happen. But here we go. We're gonna go get a nice shimmer around this. I'm gonna make this yellow. We're gonna bring this down and make this a beautiful yellow, almost a gold looking shimmer here. I'm gonna bring this around. Going pretty freehand with this. So the thing interesting that's interesting about painting metal, and I'm not painting metal right now, but just because I'm painting this and it's like a shimmery gold color, you know, it makes me think about painting metal. And the thing about painting metal is really the play. If you ever look at gold, painting metal is really the play of there's really a play between like brown and yellow. I know it's gonna sound weird, but like brown and yellow. It's like constantly building certain colors, yellows, browns, ochres. Just finding like that right combination of all those colors together. Let's go really deep with this. Giving it like a halo-y effect. You know, I think I want to play with this idea of the mother, you know? The mother. Being this like powerful force. So this is symbolically like a halo. Symbolically. And that's what I'm going for. It's not in the original image. But also at the same time, I think in West African culture, in like Nigeria, I did a little research on this, but in Nigeria, there is headwear that has this like this piece behind the head, this very round piece. I don't know what it's called. I probably should have done more research before I started talking about it here, but you know, and I don't know if it's in all Africa, but I know like when I was looking up scarves that Nigerian women might wear, I saw a bunch of not just scarves, but like it was a full-on headpiece. So I don't know exactly what that's called. If someone watching now happens to have that information, feel free to share. Feel free to, you know, teach me. But when I did the initial research, I saw that and I kind of got this idea of this like, you know, halo-esque effect. And that's what we're playing with here. Okay. Still got a long ways to go, people. Still got a long, long ways to go for this painting. Let's go right up in here. I can't wait till this paint actually dries because give me an opportunity to excuse me. Give me an opportunity to like really work the area. But it won't ever dry if I keep throwing paint on it. It won't ever dry if I keep putting paint onto it. So what shall I do? I should work into some of the toes. Let's work on some of the pink in the flesh here. We're gonna go right up here, and we're gonna go around and help to create the shape of this foot. 2 feet should almost like come together here. Baby toes right there. Another round little baby toe. And then there's one little tiny baby toe. And here we go. We're going to go bring this color. Just going to make sure that we go around and go bam, right up there, bam. Keep some of the shadow between the toes and such. But other than that, you spend so much time painting faces that nobody really makes the effort to learn how to paint arms. I'm making fun of myself right now, by the way. Making fun of the way that I paint arms, which happens to be very flat. But who, like, you know, the reality, like, who really cares about a nice arm? Is that really a big deal? Do people really care? Every detail matters. Like, what do people really want to see? They want to see the face. They want to see expressions. They want to know the story. And let's go down here. We're going to paint this down. And here, let's actually use some of this blue again. Use this blue in the foot, right along the highlight of the toe here. Ooh, that's not going to work. This toe is this foot is very unusual. Probably going to have to bring that down a little bit, but we're going to make it work here. Let's go. It's going to help us find our foot. Let's go ahead and add these highlights across the top of the hand here, across the top of the baby's hand. And then we're going to go, boom. Cute little hand right there. And we're going to come around and boom, right there. a little baby knuckle right here. Knuckle of the baby. Little baby. A little pinky right there. And there's actually almost like no, you can't really see the top of the hand, so it's going to come around. And this needs to go back a little bit. So let's go push this. Let's go push this a little bit and go. Off this brush here. Let's use our purple. Get a bit of our purple that we had from last night. What I want to do is I want to curve around this area right here. It's starting to, it's got like an unusual look. So this is going to come around and boom, curve. This needs a curve. Does that solve the problem? Did it solve that problem that easily? That little, yeah, almost. Did almost solve that problem pretty, just like that. But even then, I still think area around the arm needs to be modified a little bit more. Needs to be cut in a little bit further because it just looks, I feel like the arm just looks a little too big or too wide. Because, and I think what's happening is, you know, the reference that I'm using, the baby's head is quite a bit closer to the, to her face. So this distance here is causing this distance, you know, because I'm constantly using, like, referencing different parts of the image, right? So what's happening is this distance is creating extra distance here. Even so, like, if I'm using the baby's head in comparison to the arm, this area is correct, right? But if I'm comparing the baby's head to where the face is, that proportion is, the gap is a little too big. So what's happening is that this side, it has to come out a little further to compensate. This part is coming out a little further because of this little area. So now I have to figure out how to modify the arm so that it looks more natural. And that's what I'm thinking through right now, just doing some, you know, basic problem solving. So I just got to figure out, like, how far I can have this arm out. Like, without it looking too weird. I can have it coming around. Probably have it come out right to about there, right? And then I got to figure out how to take this down a bit. So, modifying, painting over. One thing I love about art history books. Let me share a really great art painting book with everybody. book? Oh God, where's my book? Why is it that every time I want my art books, I can't find them? Ah, here we go. So here's an art book that I highly recommend, but it's very difficult to find. Techniques of the Great Masters of Art. I found it in a private library in for sale in Vermont, and it says Merry Christmas 1993 from Mom and Dad. So you know, if this was your book, got this gift from your parents in 1993, you know, thank you for sharing this with the library. They made it for sale, and I'm very grateful for this book. But I'm very grateful for this book because what's great about it is you start to learn. You know, right now as I'm working this, I'm like, oh, fixing mistakes. Like, you know, there's this voice inside my head that's saying, you can't fix mistakes. That means that you don't know what you're doing. That means that, like, you know, you didn't put enough time into preparing. You know, there's like these like doubting voices in my head. But what I learned from this book is that lots of artists throughout history made adjustments. Now, they might have been more specific with their adjustments, like, you know, they did everything perfectly, and then they're like, okay, I want to move this one arm over just a little bit, and then they fixed it, rather than, you know, constantly painting and reworking. But, you know, it's really nice to learn about the quirks of various artists. And I feel like, you know, when you learn all the quirks that artists that people consider great, you start to realize that they're human beings. You know, that either they make mistakes or, you know, they had these little ways of doing things that that most of us judge ourselves for unfairly. So, how do I do this? I don't really know how her arm is sitting. So her arm just looks kind of like it's just disappearing. It's like disappearing into the distance here. So I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to work this arm. This arm's really wonky. Let me play with this arm a bit. It'd be really nice to, let me see if I can actually, let's use this purple, and let's try to like shape out the arm here. So we're gonna go right into here. We know the arm's coming, you know, it's behind the baby, of course. So at least part of the arm's behind the baby. So it's probably going to come down right around here. Her arm's like right there. And then if the elbow's coming like right around here, elbow's coming right around here, the elbow should also be pretty much like right here. So then this is also going to come around. Does that look a bit better as far as the overall length of the arm goes? Maybe even more if I make this fake hand here. just go straight off. It looks weird going straight off though, but it's kind of maybe how it has to be, you know? Bothers me to make stuff up because I'm not really good at making stuff up. Like some basic stuff I could do. Maybe I should sleep on it. This arm right here. How does it work? Maybe I can bring it down. Maybe I can bring it down right there. All right, let's go grab some of this green here. We're gonna go and modify this hand, this arm, give this arm the more natural shape. Paint it there, go down into there. I gotta bring this green down and reduce the angle of this foot here, so right like that. And then let's bring this up a little bit. Maybe I leave it, you know? Maybe I leave the arms somehow. We'll see. Let's try to do a little bit of work on them though. Just a little bit, a little hint of work. See what we can manage to modify from here. If it looks better, good. If it doesn't look better, I think the most distracting thing is that it's got like a weird, it's this weird, you know, it's this weird misty purple that's kind of just like hovering. So just doesn't look normal, or look like, you know, it just doesn't feel. What should I do? Huh. Let's grab this purple.
Like February 19th. Yes. Something keeps happening though. They either can't find it or off or September 18th, yes.
Oh. These arms. I'm gonna need to figure out how to save these arms. Save this arm. This arm looks natural.
Yeah. The type of it, I mean, this is the little connection, or whatever, the size, everything.
Stop talking because I'm thinking to myself, how am I gonna save these areas? What needs to happen?
Hi, I'm here. Okay, I'm ready. Okay. And me. Okay, and what? Oh, the length, yes. thank you. Thank you. I'll give it to you the other day next week. Maybe we'll be able to I'll have to call back. Do it. Thank you. Appreciate it. You too. Thank you. Bye. The other one.
Let's see. I think it might work if I bring this shadow into the cheek more.
Hi, Simba. Hi. Hi, what's wrong? Is it brushing? You do? Are you brushing? Yeah? Eyes are getting big, like saucers. Hi. Hi.
Honestly, it's perfect. Actually, works good there. Let's see if we can grab some of this again. Grab a little bit of this again.
Just wake up. Brush you? Buddy, you're in crazy. Buddy. That's good. Yeah, buddy.
So I keep working on her face because the baby's face is just not ready.
Hi, Emmett.
Baby's face is.
I am calling the information from my dental implant that
Maybe if I,
we
you know, let's see what happens. Maybe I need to just work on it the same way I've been working on the face, which is, you know, adding in some mineral spirits and allowing the paint to modify itself.
Yeah.
Let's see. See what happens here. Spending all this time.
I'm at 803-316-9627. I like the pictures. Oh, you think we're in You know me, I didn't know the time. Yeah.
All right, let's go.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, thanks.
And you know what? This is actually working. That's what I should have been doing from the beginning, working with wet paint. Wetter paint.
Oh, that's a cute picture.
Thanks.
That's nice.
Huh?
I mean, the picture of Marion's cute. I mean, what you're doing looks great.
Thanks.
Baby's nose looks a little funny.
Yeah, I think it's accurate, right? It's not inaccurate if you look at the reference. It's not inaccurate.
No, I think it's sticking up too much.
Okay, thank you.
Just my opinion.
No, look, it's all good. I appreciate it. I appreciate your opinions. Sometimes.
Good.
Not always, but a lot of times. All right, so here we go. We go around. What?
Can't seem to get anything done today.
Can't sing. Did you even try?
Of course. Each time I get ready to start, it's all me.
There we go. Why didn't I think of this earlier? Adding our mineral spirits into this so that I can work these colors in. There we go. Took me a while. I don't know why I didn't figure this out earlier. There should be common sense. Using mineral spirits to thin the paint if it's like not working for you. That highlights a little too much, but it'll help us figure it out. Alright, we're gonna go along the tops of these toes here. Get this around. A bit too much highlight, but
they did too. Difficult before, but anyway, yes. The vendor is Implants Direct. The product is called Simply Interactive. And the diameter is 5.00 mmd. MMD. Yes. No, two N's. M as in Mary, N as in Mary, D as in
clean off this brush here.
is
Yo, Mizu, what's up, dude? I guess your stream went pretty well. Your stream, by the way, so all your information is on the internet.
Yes, correct. Is that sufficient, or do you need any other?
I think it's sufficient. But here we go. Let's go around, and we're gonna start to. We're finally figuring out. I'm just learning how to paint now. I'm just discovering that all I needed to do if I wanted to make this paint work was add mineral spirits into it. I don't know why I didn't think of that. It's like common sense. I don't know why it took me this long to notice know the most basic thing. I think I was looking forward to really just like taking a break, but I think the reality is that I could have figured it out. All I needed to do was just start adding in some mineral spirits to make the. See, now we're learning how to paint. Now we're actually learning things, people. Which is specifically learning that If you add mineral spirits to paint, it thins it out so you can work with it easier. Oh, who would have thought? Who would have figured that out? Nobody. So here we go. You're about to go paint again soon. Amazing, dude. I love hearing that you've got this new sense of, well, I don't know if it's a new sense of passion, but this continual sense of passion, this ongoing, eternal passion for your art. Amazing, dude. So wonderful. All right, gonna round out these cheeks here. And I'm gonna give this baby's lips a little lip right there.
Today's Crocodile Day.
What's that mean?
It's all about crocodiles.
According to who? Huh?
Internet.
Who on the internet?
I don't know. It's just facts for Crocodile Day. How long do crocodiles live? Two new species discovered.
Yeah, I know you've been painting. Actually, so I can't watch your stream at the same time that I paint, unfortunately. And I know you have found a way to do that, but I actually have two phones, and I'm using both of them to stream right now. Dude, I'm using. I gotta share with you some cool stuff, but more so, you know. More so business talk for private. Yeah, Mizu. So we're just normalizing the baby's body finally. Can you believe? All right, so this is pretty ridiculous. This is really absurd because, you know, here I'm trying to claim to be, you know, an artist. I spent probably at least almost 1,000 hours painting with oils. And just a few moments ago, just as I started this painting, I was complaining about how this baby's the paint on the baby wasn't fully dried yet. And I was like, oh, I might not be able to paint the baby. But that is so ridiculous because what you're seeing now is that all I needed to do was know how to use the materials, know how to use oil paint with my mineral spirit. And that was all I needed to do in order to make the paint spread and to make this a possibility. And why did I not think of that? Like, how do you not think of these things when you paint enough? I don't know. But it should be like a common sense thing. That should be common sense, right? Like, if I want to paint this detail, obviously, you know, I should use mineral spirits. So, you want to start an atelier? Are you for real? You're gonna start an atelier? Are you for real, or are you for reals? For reals? Let's add a little bit of a shadow around the outside of this baby. Just gonna subtle shadow around the baby. Let's go boom. A little bit darker. Just a little bit darker. And yellower, a little bit dark yellow. Let's find a dark shady yellow here. Just want to go around the ear. Little kidney bean shaped ears. And then we're going to add some highlights for the baby's ears. Let's go highlight the baby's ears. No, you know, not that. Amisa says, I know that he's not that motivated. What's up, WOF? Welcome back. I don't know if you've ever been in here by a previous name, but if you did, you know, it's funny because you seem like, you know, you come in here and you seem so familiar with our format and our jokes, our loose conversation style. Yeah, I don't remember ever seeing the name WOF.
Hello?
This baby has cauliflower ear.
Yes.
All right, let's find some shadows, some more shadows in the baby's ears real quick
Just one.
before it gets out of control.
Just
Before it looks
one.
out of control. Let's see.
Thumbnail, but
So we're gonna go
I
like
couldn't
this.
switch today. Maybe I should kept it one. Did anybody else say? Okay, the after.
And we're gonna go like this.
Afternoon? Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, Sarah, thanks.
I think it's a little too much detail for an ear, huh? What does everybody else think? A little too much detail? The ear's got too much detail. We're gonna tighten that up in a little bit. We can tighten that up. Let's go right into here. We'll make this baby very cute. Hollow Mizu. Wow, WOF. WOF, be careful because Omizu's a mod. If you offend him, he will unleash his righteous mod powers upon you. I'm joking, by the way. Well, I mean, in all seriousness, Omizu is a moderator, but I don't know what it would take for Omizu to like actually do the job of a moderator and just ban people or kick people who are being good. Isn't it interesting how easy it is to like? And this painting makes me think of like how much we have and we know of like things to do, but sometimes we just need reminders, right? Like earlier I was complaining about how I wouldn't be able to paint this baby's face or like this baby's details because you know she's a little bit too, the paint is still kind of like wet and sticky on her. But then lo and behold, I had the answer all along. It's really just add mineral spirits so that you loosen up the paint in the area, thereby creating thereby creating, I don't know what I'm about to say, thereby creating, what was I going to say? Thereby creating a loose enough surface to paint, from which to paint upon. That's what I was trying to go for, I think. So anyway, we're going to come down with the baby's nose. We're going to add some deeper shadows here. Get our brown. I have to pay Amiza to do anything. He's always hustling. Hustling. I have shared with Omizu some of the ideas for painting and streaming, and being able to make some income from it. We're gonna come into here and we're gonna go how's his hair looking? His hair looking kind of cute, right? His hair's little baby's head's really cute. Oh, cute little baby head. Alright, and then we're going to go grab a little bit more of this color. I will share with you via Instagram message when I have some time. Good, later today, pretty much. Let's go grab some more of this color. Come down the back of the head here and the baby some nice deep colors in her head. Some nice. I think baby hair is kind of funny to paint because babies rarely ever have like a full head of hair. Like I've only painted like 2 babies, so I don't, have an exact like. No, I don't have all the references. I'm not exactly certain, but like when you paint babies' heads, it's funny because, their heads aren't fully developed, and their hair's not either. So like, I find that there's like this fine balance as far as painting goes. Out of the 2 babies' heads that I've ever painted, there's this fine balance between capturing their hair as it is, but also, not making them look bald. Which, I guess babies are bald. They're cute, right? That's what they are. It's the beauty of a little baby that's developing, right? It's the cutest thing. But how do you find that balance? still really haven't discovered that, but you know, I don't plan on painting families and babies a career, but you know, it is one of those questions. It's definitely a question to be asked. And let's actually, you know what? I want to bring back some of the subtler details of the baby's head here. So we're gonna go like right in there. You know, make it look like there's some head, a semblance of a head peeking through. You know, that's the truth of a baby's head. Is it's not always fully. It's not always fully. Doesn't always have all the hair. Let's go back with some of the darker shades, and we're just gonna paint into this. Oh no, let's get some of these dark blacks. WOF. Yeah, no, I've shared it so many times. Look, if you really want to know, I mean, well, you're just becoming an Amazon associate. That is the secret that I was gonna hold off on you. Become an Amazon associate and share your artwork. While promoting Amazon products. That's the secret we're going for. Nothing else. That's it. That baby has such a full head of hair in this photo. It's not realistic, but we're just gonna leave it. It's cute. It's very funny. Babies are so funny. Where's my cats? My cats are my babies. Where's my cats at? They're supposed to be here to make. Supposed to be here to make me laugh about stuff. Where are they at? Scout on the couch. Give him a hug. I need to go give my cat a hug. If anybody has a solution, by the way, for this arm, I would very much appreciate it. Because in the photo, this is actually pretty accurate. But the arm is cut off in the photo. So I have to like make this up, but also it looks kind of weird the way it currently is. So I just don't know what to do. I'm gonna go pester my cat while he's napping in just a moment here.
Hey, Scout. How are you?
Go pester my cat while he's napping. He heard it. He heard me. He's like, uh-oh. Because here's the thing, if I bring this arm like this, if I bring it in, then it looks too thin here. Right? If I bring this arm in, it just looks too thin. Let me see what I can do about blending around the arm here. I'm gonna grab some of this. We're gonna grab some mineral spirit, grab some yellow, grab some pink, grab a big chunk of white, mix that into here. more yellow. Let's go. It's too yellow. I need some red. Some red into here. Pink. Maybe have it. I could have a wrap around, but then I gotta like, I'd have to like figure out a whole new reference here. I'm gonna go bother my cat.
You're so big.
Scott, I'm here to annoy you. Why are you licking your lips, bud? Still smell the same. Decided he wants to escape. Cutie, cutie. So it wasn't a cat? Yeah. No, I know. I wish I had answers. No, I do appreciate you sharing your thoughts, though. If anything, I definitely appreciate that. Definitely appreciate that. And
Hi, Scout. You want the door open? Well, we can't open it right now. It's too hot.
sometimes you gotta solve your own problems. And this feels like one of those moments for sure. You know what I could do? Let's add a little black line at the front of the eye here. And then let's see, I'm gonna go around, let's clean up the area around the baby. So we're gonna grab let's grab this deeper purple here. All right, you know what? I think now's a good time for a break before I'm too far gone. Should I keep going? I just have this urge to keep going because certain pieces that need some work. Maybe I should do a bigger brush. What do we do about this? This area right here. Let's go. Nice set of mineral spirits. We're going to take a flesh tone. You know, let's use oil. Something closer to what we. Let's use our oil here. I need to find my subtle gradations at some point. Or at some point I'm just gonna go totally, you know, free expression-y as my go-to painting style. Let's see, I could actually bring this around here. Subtle color transition. right here. And let's see. Oh yeah, you know what? This would be a good color. Bring in more subtly along the top of the arm here. Let's see. It's Utrecht. And let's see how we can grab some of this purple here and just like bring it into the flesh. And then find some subtle blends of another color. All right, come on now, come on, Emmett. For the end of today, I want to at least tie a lot of this together. Keep saying I'm gonna take a break, but today's not the type of day that I feel like I really will need it compared to just continuing on. So let's see. Right now I got this. I'm using a brush. It's again one of my favorite brushes. I'm constantly using it in the stream here. Let's find the front of the baby's eye. Baby is not wearing eyeliner. And a bit of a highlight right at the tip in this eye right here. And add more highlights along the front of the eyes here. I think we can really tighten this up here. We're gonna go boom, boom. Cat. WI says, bless you. That would be Cat. That would be Kathleen. She is a consistent character in this story. In this story of painting. And just got to do a couple things to really soften up. I need to soften up the face here. And I think we're in a good spot now. There's a lot of, I have a lot of areas where there's too much highlight and it's a little too overblown with color, or blown out with color. I mean, highlight, aka the color white. Honestly, it's not even like white. It's like a slightly off shade, but I think it really happens to stand out just because of its super high value. But I think we're in a good position though in general, as far as what we got to do. Just gotta keep working to soften the baby's face. Eyebrows aren't fully developed yet, so I don't need this drastic of a transition. And then blend in some of these areas to kind of give it this sense that the baby doesn't totally have its hair yet. I'll just give it little wispy strokes of color. I'll just keep it kind of wispy. I don't need to paint it exactly. I mean, some artists might, but that's not what we're doing. Because it is a baby, right? Babies are just starting to grow their hair out, so let's try to do a blend. Let's go around and find a blend color here. Blending color around the outside of the arm. Nice transition here. And you know what we can do, what should we do right now? Let's go ahead and start to add some lines into our fabric here so that we can start to separate the fabric. Give details in our fabric here. gonna all come down. Right to this section of a knot. Excuse me. And then there's gonna be a knot right here, which means come right there. That's gonna have a little detail, something like that. Have some detail right in here, and we're gonna have some more shadow like right in here. Dude, you're in a storm? Are you okay? What storm? What city is having a storm right now? Well, actually, you know what? Don't tell me. You don't need to tell me what city you're in. I prefer that if you're a viewer, that you keep your, I think it's important for people to keep their personal information personal, right? So respecting your privacy, I don't really need to know, unless you want to share, right? Like if you're, well, especially if you're under the age of 18. I don't know how old you are, especially if you're under the age of 18, definitely do not share. Definitely do not share. But as far as privacy goes, if you're watching, I think that is of the utmost importance. So, keep that in mind. It's very, very important. I think in the future, it's already happening. People are paying for privacy, right? People pay for privacy. It's a thing. People pay to have, certain information on or off the internet. Privacy is so important. I think it's only going to get more important in the future. So maintain it while you can, dude. Maintain it while you can. Don't give it up for nothing. So we're gonna do a little bit of blending. Zoom tight.
Oh, it's a document. Find it.
It's actually a good color for this spot right here. This is good to add some more variety of color along the arm. And then maybe a little into here. Into there. Sounds like what? Amizu says soft extortion. That's why you normally try putting, rather than say don't want to put information. Yes, definitely do that. Protect your information. Don't just give it away. Always. Alright, here's something I've been kind of lazy to do. But there are pieces of jewelry that she's wearing that I have totally avoided. So let's go. We go with a dark sphere. I'm gonna paint a sphere here, right around here. A large hoop. And this side is also going to have a hoop. And here's the thing about painting hoop earrings is all it is an interaction between black and like shades of gray, like silver, you know? So it's not hard to paint metal. You really just gotta know how something is turning around a form here. No, this one needs some better highlights. So I'm gonna add those in. Let's get back to this thing. Our head piece here. We're finally getting some momentum because I finally remembered how to paint. Yes, I remember that all I need to do is add mineral spirits, and that will cause the paint to loosen up so that I can use it. So let's go like this. This is the wrong color. Let's soften this yellow around the side here. Then we're going to go, let's go bring our yellow ochre, pale yellow ochre along this side. Let's go like this. And then I'm gonna add a little bit of shadow down along the bottom here. Get our shadow along the bottom of this arm. So let me see. Yeah, need to get that fresh perspective soon. Let's come around top of the foot here. Come like right there. That's working a little better. Here we go. And let's go. Come right into here. I'm going to grab this bit. Oops, that's not good. We'll figure that out. Let's see. I'm gonna grab this. Let's go around this. And let's do, I really like the gold here. Let me see what this color brings. You know what, this is an okay color for this area right here. Let's go like this. We're just gonna keep bringing this like softer yellow to create like a transition space. It's almost like a flesh color, but for our yellow. Let me stop being lazy. Sometimes I could get lazy, and you know I try to work with the paint that's on my canvas rather than just getting some new paint. That's what I mean by lazy. So the paint that I'm about to use right now is Lucas 1862. This is a lemon yellow Lucas oil color. a 37 milliliter, made in the UK. I don't use this one too much. I try to, you know, the majority of the colors that I use are ones that cover larger areas at a time. And then I like to work, you know, details with some of the more expensive paint. Because in general, paint can get really expensive. And if you're not, like, really expensive. And I think with paints, definitely there is a, it all depends on, you know, what kind of you want to use, right? But if like, you know, so my plan usually is to use like the certain paints for just covering large surfaces, because I'm going to use a lot of mineral spirits, and when you use mineral spirits a lot, it degrades the pigment a little bit. And the reason why I use mineral spirits is because it helps to loosen up the paint so that you can cover a lot more space. And when you do that, it degrades the pigment. So you don't really want to use, like, you know, really expensive pigment and then degrade it, right? So if you're covering large areas. But then, you know, on the final layers, when I really start to tighten things up, I start to use more specific types of paint. So let's go up into here. We're going to actually add highlight in this area. You know what? We can actually play with this. Let's start playing with this right now. Start playing with this idea here. Start, you know, just sometimes I you know, I don't like to do this from the very beginning. I usually like to paint slightly more detailed at the beginning. Like to add more detail at the beginning so that I can, this is going to sound cheesy, but I want to earn the right, and I don't think all artists need to like abide by these rules, but this is going to sound really cheesy, but I like the idea of like getting the right, and again, this is totally ambiguous. I'm making this up for myself. I don't believe all other artists have to do this because they don't necessarily need to, right? But I like to kind of like give myself, the way I give myself permission to paint like more freely and expressively and like do these kinds of marks is by at least getting certain details really nicely. So at the end of a painting, I might totally change up the space and totally transform it, but I wanted to at least capture it as like, you know, nicely as I can first before I get all the expression. I try to earn myself the right in my own head to paint in an expressionist way or express extra expressively. Does that make sense to people? I don't know. It might not make sense to people because you could claim the right. You don't need anyone's permission. But I do need my own permission sometimes. I do feel like I need my own permission by doing things a certain way, and then afterwards, you know, have a certain level of cohesion, and then getting all crazy and loose with it. But again, if you want to paint expressionist, impressionist, if you want to paint however, that is awesome. And that is how you should paint, is however you want to paint. So let's go like this. No, this doesn't need to be there. It does not need to be there. So that's going to come down. That's going to come down. It's going to come down. Yeah, don't cheap out on your materials. No, I totally agree. If, the general rule is, you know, buy the best materials you possibly can. But again, I do you know, like with oil paint, you do so many layers, and I use, you know, and sometimes I really do waste a lot of paint. So I do like to occasionally, you know, I buy paints just to experiment with, literally just to waste, just to throw on a canvas and do like an abstract painting that's just dumping paint onto a canvas. I tend to do that. So, you know, for me, I do need a range of paint value, because some of my work can just be like really messy, and that's how I get out of my head, so that when I'm ready to use the really high quality, well, I don't want to say quality, it all depends on how you're working, right? But some of the other paints, you know, I use them to their best effectiveness. But of course, it definitely comes down to, you know, what paints are you using, what purpose. Use the best paints you can for whatever, you know, whatever best paint you possibly can. That's the general rule, right? General rule is use the best paint you possibly can for your purpose. And you know, sometimes my purpose is really just to waste paint. I know it's, you know, maybe not the best approach. I literally just want to throw paint onto a canvas. And then, you know what, let's go with the yellow ochre here, and we're going to use the yellow ochre for some of the transition spaces. So we're going to use yellow ochre for like these areas, just to get the curve. Use our yellow ochre to get the curve. Paint like a maniac. Yes, paint like a maniac. That's the best advice ever. Paint like a maniac. Paint like you're got something to prove to the world. Speaking of which, I don't have my daily affirmation video for today. I totally forgot to make that, but I don't know. I don't think it's been they're very popular videos as far as like YouTube in general is concerned. I don't think they haven't really been hitting the mark as far as interest goes. So I'm using yellow ochre here, and this is really just to build up some more dimension into into our painting here. Adding some dimensionality. And you know what would be good around here? Let's go with the yellow ochre. We're gonna go bring in some ochre here. Let's go like this. We're gonna bring this up. Adds just an extra little bit of color and dimension there. Let's see, if I use that color there, I feel like this area should have it too. How do I find that color again? What color is that? It's like right this one, right? Let's just keep building this up, these sections here. I'm gonna go grab some more of this white, dump this in. I want to flatten this color. Flatten this color right here. Oh boy, I forgot to check my text messages. I gotta remember that I gotta keep up with my text messages nowadays. How's this looking? I'm not too sure about it right now. This area of black needs to go. I don't need these super super shadow areas on this cap now. I think it needs to be much more crisp at this point. Well, you know what? It doesn't look too bad. Some of the shadow looks okay. It kind of gives it an extra dimension. But I think I do need a couple subtle folds. So let's see how we can find some of these subtler folds here, like a triangle right here. Some subtle transition blending. You know what? We should go back to the ochre. That's what I should have done. So sticking with the ochre, try to find some subtle transitions around the side here. There we go. Create the roundness of it. Let's grab this ochre again. And then definitely along the top, I want to bring in some more of this highlight color. Try to find our white, the yellow highlight. We're gonna, you know, make this nice and consistent going into these sections here. And it's got this like gold shimmer. I think we've got a good gold shimmer, although this section right here, let's see how we tighten that up. How do we tighten that up? You basically just got to add a little line. Because basically this is supposed to be a fold. And what I did was I started the fold with a, shadow because I know that's where I'm going to put the fold, so. Let's actually make this an ochre. Reduce the color of that a little bit. What's this? Oh. Alright, let's go push this to the edge. Make it look more specific. So this was not looking specific enough. I was just looked like I was brushing it in. Which, you know, I did, but if you make your things look more specific, you can add some better details. Let's see. I want to reduce the highlight here. It's a little too bright. And this one can actually have a little bit of an edge. This area right here, we're going to go around the bottom. Oh, a little bit darker. And honestly, we might even just go back in over this later. To really sharpen the creases. What is this? This funny little part. I need to get rid of that now. Let's work on a different area. This interesting little part of the body. Looks like a piece of his body, doesn't it? This like little goofy area. So I need a shadow there. We're gonna go with. So we're gonna grab this brown, this burnt umber color. We're gonna reduce it a little bit. Make it like a burnt umber yellow ochre color. Yeah, that's what we're going for. Burnt umber yellow ochre. And then this is gonna help us shape the face a little bit. So let's go. still look kind of funny. Why does his head look like that? Why is the head... Why is the head looking goofy? Almost looks like she has no neck. What's going on here? You know what, I think I could bring this up a little bit, right around there. It's really like the only shadow that the baby has on its face. Maybe a little bit up here. Blend up a little bit. Let it kind of disappear. And let's clean off this brush before we get into trouble with our color. And let's establish the values for our fingers a little better. So this finger's going to come like that. And then this is going to come around like that. Just keep building up these colors here. Little web between the fingers. I need to get rid of this black here. But I know that, you know, there's a little bit of the webbing of the hand coming through. So that's what I'm trying to navigate here. That's going to be a little bit challenging. But I do know that the black does not need to be there, so what I gotta do, let's try to remove it by painting in this purple here. So we're gonna go down. That's better. Or this black too. And then these shadows can pretty much stay between these fingers. Here's something fun. So, excuse me. Something I want to do right now is soften up the shadow. So you can see that the shadow looks a little funky. And what I could do is I can take a little bit of pink and like just go in here and just try to like bring it out. You know, just and I think this is just an ever going mission of like trying to paint what you see. And then just a subtle little transition right into here. Let's see if that worked. Yeah, it worked a little bit. This section right there. This is really flat right now. I'm gonna go with my yellow ochre here. This is the color that we're gonna bring down into here so that, you know, this shadow doesn't look as funny. I'm gonna go across the top. And here we go. We're gonna come around just to give it, you know, these extra colors are just gonna help us get some depth into the baby, I think. Try to find some depth in everything. You know what? Let's go add. Need some red. Everybody likes red lips, right? Everybody likes red lips. Even for men, you gotta give them red lips. To look like lipstick. Doesn't even have to look like lipstick. Just so let's go like this. And we're gonna soften the red details. We're gonna take our pink. We're gonna just soften the redness a little bit with our blush. And we're just gonna bring some of this color into the lip here. Just ever so subtle detail. We're not going to see it on the top of it, but we're not going to see it on the top here. Let's see, we should add a little bit of red to the nose, just a hint, just like along right there. A little hint of red. Might as well use colors, right? Might as well use color. Oh yeah, and this side is kind of empty. This side is a bit devoid of color. Let's see where we can find a good fit for this rouge. I really like this color that we have going on right now. And maybe it's a little too much for other parts of this. Let's see. You know what? Cheeks. We gotta add these cheeks here. Get this red into the cheeks. No, that's too much. Too much. Yeah, let's blend that back. I'm gonna blend that back a little bit. This red. We're gonna try to find blend it back just a little bit. I'll let you know, I do think it added some richness of color. I just feel like if I take this color too far, I'm gonna have to like adjust the whole face, you know? I guess every artist should be able to change directions and be able to like, you know, be able to modify and do things if they, you know, feel like what they're doing is good. But let's go bring that down. You know, maybe I can just subtly bring this in a little bit. No, I like that. Getting rid of the shadow between the eyes. So in the image that I'm seeing, you know, she's got her head tilted in a way where the light like blocks her. The light is being blocked from this part of her face. So I was really just painting what I was seeing, but you know, now that every once in a while you do some things, you're like, you know what, I gotta adjust. I don't really like that, and you can't always just go with like what you're getting on your. Can't always just go with what you're seeing. Sometimes you know you gotta take creative liberty. You know, creative liberty. That is the freedom of the unpaid artist. Is you get to do whatever you want because why does it matter? You're not getting paid. By the way, people, that's a bit of a joke. You know, don't take my words too seriously. That's not always what painting is about, right? It's not always just about getting paid. Sometimes you just do a project because you like to. Just trying to even out the highlight across the head here. This is a little too much. I'm gonna brush away the highlight here. Might be over painting things, but we'll see. And you know, here, so I pretty much like, this is one of my favorite brushes, Princeton Aspen. I've been using this for the majority of this painting. I just love this brush. It's a synthetic fiber, and I think it only comes in a pack. I haven't actually checked if you can buy it separate. I haven't actually checked if you can buy this like separately. But you know, I use a variety of paints. I've used Winton oil color from my blush. I've used Azo red medium for my red. This is a Van Gogh brand, Van Gogh by Royal Talens is the company name. They make a variety of levels of oil paint. I've used Williamsburg for blues, and I've used Utrecht for you know, just as a burnt sienna to capture like an underlying like red orange color. And now I'm just building color on top of everything, and you know, finding the works, figuring out how it all works. And when I say figuring it out, I mean, you know, going through my painting and like figuring it out. You know, I don't have all the answers right from the get-go. If I did, I'd be one of the greatest artists on the planet. Having all the answers. People would come to me. But what are some other important things that for painting? So, as you can see, I stand when I paint. I don't know if you can see me working back here, you know, on the side of this. Actually, you know what? Let me just adjust the camera. I don't know if you can actually see me working here. But I have a couple things that are pretty important here. One, I have this steel case. It's for painting, paint thinner, mineral spirits. This helps me to reduce the overall density or thickness of the paint, which is incredibly helpful when you want to spread it over larger areas. And then I have my glass oil holder, which has a coil in it. So that helps you to like wipe off paint. Now technically you can use just oil. I mean, the general rule is that you can pretty much use just oil. You don't need all this other fancy stuff, but it is helpful. So, you know, knowing that you have the option, you have a lot of options. You always got options, everybody's always got options. So we're gonna come around here, we're gonna start you know, adding in our necklace here. So she's got a necklace that comes around. And I'm just gonna start by adding it in. It's a nice blue necklace here. You can just barely see the blue because we're working on wet paint right now. And then there's another necklace that kind of comes around. I have an acting teacher and he always said, no, kinda. Don't say kinda. Kinda, you're not allowed to say the word kinda. So he'd be very disappointed in me if he heard me doing this live stream saying kinda. So I'm definitely going to do the necklace later, but I want to at least establish the where the necklace is. And it's actually beads, but I'm just drawing like a big, you know, big long piece, because this color actually, ultramarine blue that I'm using ultramarine blue. This ultramarine blue provides a good contrast that even when I finally do paint on top of it, it's not going to I'm going to be able to work with it, is what I want to. It's workable. You work on top of it. Let me just share like a little preview here, right? So like right here, all I need to do after I've added this is just start to add like little, you know what, I'm going to use a smaller brush for this process right here. You can grab a smaller brush. We're getting into some smaller details. But, you know, all I really need to do is take some of these pieces. I might even be able to do this right now. I don't know. Let's see. We'll find out. We will find out. So we're going to go, so it's just going to be a bunch of little beads right here. You know, just little beads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And just by adding these beads down, you can see how it can start to create detail. And then all I need to do, so the rest of this is going to be a series of alternating beads. So we're going to come around and we're just going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm not really putting that much detail into this. I learned this trick from some guy on Instagram. He says people are always impressed with how detailed his paintings are. And he said that it's nothing but an illusion, because all you need to do is make some things look very detailed. But the way the eye works, right? The way the mind works, the way your brain works is that, you know, anytime someone sees this, they're going to look at the whole thing at once. You know, the brain doesn't have enough power, at least my brain doesn't. I think the idea is that most people's brains don't have enough power to, you know, look at every single little detail at once, right? Like, first you have to capture their attention with the painting, right? That's step one. You first have to capture somebody's attention. And then once you've caught the attention, then that's when they kind of like start to pick and choose which features they're going to look at. So you're going to see this, and you're either going to like it or you're going to not like it. And if you like it, that's when you're going to look at it a little longer. And then you might dig into some of the details, and you'd be like, oh, let me see how they made the hair, or how they actually painted the necklace or whatever. Or maybe you're focused on a face. You just go look at the details on the face. But that's ultimately how any person consumes visual art. And by knowing that, I think ultimately the benefit of knowing this is that you have the opportunity to choose how much detail you feel is worth putting into your work. And all of that, however you decide to do it. I mean, it's all okay, right? It's all good. So neither good nor bad, depending on who sees it. Now, obviously, the more detailed you are, the more, that typical person might be impressed. Like, oh, wow, they made this, like, perfectly. Perfect. It is absolutely the most perfect thing I've ever seen, right? Like, every detail is so spaced out perfectly. And maybe that's the type of artist you want to be known as. But it all depends, right? It all depends on how you want to brand yourself. And in my book, it's all valid. And there will be people who are more impressed by a painting that's totally highly detailed. And then there's going to be some people that are like, wow, they spent that much time on those details? Really? Or you know what they'll say? They won't. No one. I don't think anyone ever makes fun of people who use lots of details in their artwork. I think what does end up happening is they go, oh, that's cool. And then they just kind of like go on. But again, all up to the artist. That is the power of being an artist, is having that choice. Oops. So anyways, let's see. Now we're going to add a little bit of highlight. We'll start to add little blue highlights along the top of this stone here. So we're going to go on camera. It looks a little bit more, interesting enough, on camera it looks a lot more detailed than in person. Like when you see it from the camera, it kind of looks, it looks extra detailed. But I think now's a good time for a break. Been going for almost 4 hours now. Might come back in a couple more hours to do some more work on this. Let's see, clean out this brush here. Pookie, what you doing? Talking to you, Pookie. Yeah, what's up? But as we wrap up, here's a funny thing I learned from one of my mentors. It's okay to say crap. And I'm using, you know, family-friendly words here. For those of you that are, you know, this is just streamer work. I had a mentor who said, it's okay to say crap. You could say bull crap, and you could say crap, but just never say anything like stupid crap. And I always thought that was funny. Because it kind of like, it's kind of true, you know? Like, you could pretty much say anything, but as long as it's not really, really, really like dumb. As far as the fact that, you know, I'm streaming goes, you know, you can say a lot of things. So anything that I say isn't a rule, of course. Anything that I say, try it, test it out for yourself, see if it works, see if you agree. If you disagree, let me know in any comment on any of my videos. If you think that what I'm saying is totally bogus and I should, you know, go pick some different work, let me know. But whatever you feel free to share it. So we have it. That's our painting session for now. We've come a long way. I don't know if anyone remembers what this looks like earlier, but it was totally different. And I think we've really come a long way. I'm glad I remembered how to paint because it brought us out a lot further. I literally forgot how to paint when I first started because I was trying to like paint onto the body and everything without any sort of oil or mineral spirits, and that was preventing me from creating nice dense areas of paint. But here we are, getting things going. So things are moving, it's good, we're happy, full, and take care everyone. We might be back in a few hours or maybe a few days, I don't know. Goodbye.